So here we are. So Joel, I was thinking about it one day and I was imagining, your gastrointestinal tract and how it's this like bustling metropolis of microscopic life, right? The bacteria, the archaea, the fungi, they're all going about doing their business. And, we've known for a long time that these tiny little tenants, they help with digestion, absorption of nutrients, they help support our immune system. They even make neurotransmitters like serotonin, right? But then I started thinking they do other things that most of us don't really think about on a day-to-day basis. And we don't usually make dietary and supplement choices based on this. It's the fact that these tiny microbes are also miniature vitamin factories. Okay. And we've known this since at least 1997. We've known that there's certain types of these microbes in your gastrointestinal tract that can produce, for instance, vitamin K. They can also produce B vitamins like riboflavin and folate. And in fact, we actually know now that they can produce all of the B vitamins. So these tiny little microbes in your gastrointestinal tract can produce all of the B vitamins. So it is your internal vitamin factory. And all of these vitamins that I've mentioned, these are critical. It's not like, oh, they just produce a few vitamins. How big of a deal is that going to make? These are required for producing energy in your body, right? I mean, how many of us are suffering from fatigue, right? So they are responsible for energy production, synthesizing DNA, your bone health, blood clotting, your mood, how well you sleep, if you're going to heal from either a cut or a chronic disease that you might have. Those
So,
vitamins, go ahead.
yeah. So Sina, you got to realize here that asking that kind of question, I mean, think about all the nutrient analysis. Every food has been broken down to this one has more, riboflavin. This one has more B12. This one has more B6. I mean, you can look at charts and tables and so all of I'm just trying to make sure I understand your query here because you're pretty far above me. Uh, so so
Oh,
you're so your query, you're actually, I mean, we have looked at nutrients from a I've got from an outside source. I've got to get
that's right.
this and this and this and this and bring it in. And you're suggesting that instead of an outside in look, what if we take an inside out look?
Exactly. And I
That's pretty
just,
revolutionary.
yes. And I just got goosebumps. And that's why I was like, see, I knew I had to discuss it with you because, and let's go through this layer by layer so I
Okay.
can, I tend to jump to the end because I already got to the conclusion. Let me try to bring you along and my thinking on this because it is revolutionary. It is an entire change in the perception of how we not only see the body, but how we view food and how we view healing and our needs, and also in outsourcing our power. This is another example of how we are now in this modern culture again looking outside of ourselves for the answer, right? We're looking to the foods, we're looking to the supplements in order to fill in these gaps that we have in our micronutrient profiles. But I think really we need to look within because so here's going to be my bottom line, and then I'll back you through it, is that God gave us everything that we need, right? God gave us every single thing that we need to flourish and thrive in any environment. And we just need to know how to harness that gift that he's given us. Okay. So that's my bottom line. Let me walk you through it.
Yeah.
So
Before you do, let me just point out that you are touching at a human scale. One of the things that I have always touched on the farming scale, in that everybody's out here trying to, what do I put on? What do I need to get? I need to get phosphate from Morocco. I need to get, urea from Putin in Russia. I need, it's for soil fertility. Basically, since the beginning of, I mean, you can read Thomas Jefferson's book. You can read all the early farming, colonial, from pre-revolution. It's all about somehow the fertility has to come from outside. And I've always said, I've always had a problem with that thinking, you think God really made it that the only way for me to have soil fertility is to import something from Morocco in order to give me soil fertility? And so you start looking at the alimentary canal of the worm and what it can do from a mineral. I just seen it this week. I learned something this week from a guy. He's a French soils expert. He said that there's not a single plant or a single animal that can synthesize organic matter and minerals except one, the earthworm. The earthworm's alimentary canal is the only living thing in the world that can marry organic matter and mineral and make mineral. I'm getting chill bumps. And make mineral out of organic matter, which means if we put on compost, the soil will balance itself out. Internally, we don't have to bring stuff in. Anyway, it's a tangent. I'm taking up your time, but I've seen the same thing. I've seen the same thing agriculturally, and now you're gonna take this to a new terrain here, humanly. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful too. I'm glad that you interjected with that comparison, because that's even more support for this theory that I'm putting forth, because you got to look to nature. If you're trying to figure out how the human body works and what our requirements are, we look to nature, right? It's more untouched than our modern medicine and modern science. So this is what I started to think. If you'd like to hear more, check out our Beyond Labels podcast. The link is in the description.